Well, it's January, and here's the spring thaw on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 153. I am the Associate Broker and Residential Sales Manager of ProStar Realty, and it is a great day here in Arizona. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I am feeling much better after my appendicitis surgery and everything like that. So hopefully full episode today. I also plan on trying to go out and do some karaoke tonight, so we'll see how that works out. Pre-rehearsals and practicing and everything in the shower worked really well this morning, so I should be able to do my bit. Okay, so we got a lot of local news going on all of a sudden, so let's start at the top. Okay, so Arizona, the lawsuits have finally hit our state officially. You can see it here, the latest home seller suits in Arizona and New York. It is the standard, oh my God, you were overcharging sellers, and because you were paying the buyers out of your commission, buyers agents out of your commission, you wouldn't have charged me that much if you weren't being forced to do that by NAR. Pretty standard, same argument that was done in Missouri. We will see how well this goes. Remember, our listing commissions, our listing agreements are different than way Missouri's were. They've been different for quite some time. The interesting thing about this particular suit is that they're going for class action, of course, and they're also looking at going back to 2020. I want to say things I usually should have highlighted, but didn't. All right, so the gentleman in this case is wanting to go all the way back to 2020 and saying any sellers who did any of these brokerages right here. Okay, I'm not going to name all these brokerages, but it's not me, not ProStar. Basically, the big ticket items. When you think of a major brokerage here in town, yeah, they're on the list. But going back to 2020, saying, hey, we got done wrong. Easily since 2020, our listing agreement has always stated that you as a seller have the right to negotiate every line on there, and that should have been covered by these agents when they were sitting in their listing agreements like we teach here at ProStar. I can't say for other brokerages or whatnot, so we'll see how that happens. But it's couple of the names, couple of the brokerages here gave me quite the giggle. I've mentioned some of them before in the past, the ones that do a really lousy job of training their agents. Let's just say there is a lot of gym membership programs on here. A lot of brokers that are basically gym members. They don't manage you, they don't train you, they don't teach you. They just kick you out on the street, and say, hey, bring me back some money kind of stuff. So we'll see how that all works out. Now this one just dropped today. So also dropping today, actually this story starts earlier on this week where National Association of Realtors has lost another president. Right? Remember the first guy, he had to step down a couple weeks ago because of salacious sexual harassment allegations. And so he stepped down. The new person stepped up, and well, she stepped up, and then she just promptly resigned. Tracy Casper just resigned this on Monday after less than 5 months. And the reasons why she gave for resigning is that basically somebody was trying to shake her down. She's alleging that she was approached by a third party that had some salacious information from her past, not regarded to financing and not regarded to real estate. But hey, if you don't play ball as president of the National Association of Realtors, we're going to let everybody know, fill in the blank. And she came straight up and said, hey, I'm being shook down and I'm resigning because this is exposing the National Association of Realtors in a negative way. So pretty solid move on her part. One, just very fact of going out there and stepping down from your job is something. Two, stating the purpose is like, hey, somebody's trying to shake me down because I did something in the past. Now, whether or not she did something, whether or not it could be a bad selfie, we don't know. All right, that we live in the age of the internet. Thank God we didn't have cell phones when I was in my 20s and people took some pictures of the way I was back then. Although I do know there are pictures out there. And I think there's 2 copies left, and the owners of those 2 copies are literally in hiding in foreign countries right now because I'm hunting both them and the copies down. All right, so if you guys are watching this video, trying to keep track on me, I'm still looking for you. I will find you. So anyway, so she stepped down, and just this morning, the new president stepped up. His name is Kevin Sears. I know nothing about him. There was not a bio published on him in any of the press releases. He gave a video speech that you could find online if you look for it, saying he apparently he was the heir apparent. A lot of these organizations I'm starting to realize it's like, okay, Bobby's the president, and then Joey's going to be the next president, but Joey's not going to be the president for 4 years, but we all know it's going to be him. So it's almost like those big elections that we have don't really mean anything because they already know who they're going to put in. Try not to make this political, but don't think too deep into that. So Kevin Sears has stepped up, taken this new position. He has promised to, lead NAR to a glorious new future. And I, for one, would be like the first to acknowledge and congratulate our new overlords over there at the National Association of Realtors. And we'll see how that game gets played out. So let's talk Arizona and Arizona real estate. Guys, it happened. I've been telling you it's going to happen for the last 2 months, and this is the week it all kicked loose. I said the first week of, January, real estate blows up again. All right, let's take a look at these numbers, and I'll show you exactly how they blew up again. All right, so actives went up this week. And these were the numbers run on January 10th, 2024. Actives this week are 15,073, up 439 from the week before. New listings are 1,993, up 875. Contracts are at 1,771, up 409. Closings last week were 890, which is anemic, but hey, it's also, we'll talk about that in a second. Coming to an MLS near you is 606. Now, our supply is trending up, is at 62.9. Our demand is also trending up at 70.4, which, because of the ratio and everything, has kicked us into 112 on the Cromford report. So we are back in a seller's market overall. There we were. Like I was saying, I want to be a buyer. I want to buy when the market is best for buyers. Yes, and I was saying November, December. Well, it's over. We're back on the seller side. So let's break it down into the individual because we can still find you some deals out there if you pay attention, boys and girls. All right, so looking at the individual markets, Maricopa is still the place to buy at 65.3 on the market, and they're still down 3% from the previous month. All right, as the interest rates are dropping, it is suddenly easier to buy housing that you don't have to drive to Pinal County to get a house in. That's why Maricopa is being still on the downside. Same thing, but Buckeye, Queen Creek, Cave Creek. Buckeye and Queen Creek, Cave Creek is still dropping. We'll go into that in a second. All right, and we can go through it. It is your buyer's markets right now are literally Cave Creek, Queen Creek, Buckeye, and Maricopa. Those are big different price points and everything, but notice Buckeye and Queen Creek are bouncing back up. Our losers this week, Tempe, because hey, it's Tempe. It's always weird over there. Paradise Valley, rich people, who cares about them? Cave Creek, is down a secondary rich person market. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then but everybody else is gaining. Highest gainer we have right now is Fountain Hill, sort of the poor man's rich person neighborhood. They're up 20% month over month, and they have beat out Chandler. Chandler only went up 3. All right, so Gilbert, Glendale, and Phoenix are round up your top 5 on this, and we are seller's market all the way until we get to Tempe. And Tempe just there on the bubble. They'll probably drop back into a balanced market next week. Now, what's causing all this thing? Same thing we've been talking about. Those interest rates have come down, in seasonality. All right. Nobody buys in the winter. The winter doldrums kick in. All right. If you put a house on the market in November and December, are you going to have a really bad day? All right. And if you suddenly decided you want to start buying, it's pretty much now, because everybody's, new loan applications are going up. Heard that from 3 different sources over the course of the week. All right, here's our seasonal run. But I wanted fun numbers I really wanted to point out to you guys. All right, let me show you this chart. Now, last year we did have it did drop in certain places, in certain markets. All right, we saw that on the previous chart. This chart right here. This is the 2-year All right. Change in annual average price per square foot. Closed listing, single family detached over the last 2 years. This was run on January 10th. All right. So if you're in Paradise Valley and you bought 2 years ago, January 10th, 2022, your house is on average 42% more than what you paid for it. All right. Does that sound like some of the market we saw back when things were crazy? And we'll run out the top 5. Scottsdale is at 23. Wickenburg at 22.9. All right, Fountain Hills at 22.1. And then there's Cave Creek in Youngtown. Okay, Youngtown is one of those little areas nobody knows about unless you know about it. It is the poor man's Sun City. All right, little 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses, 2-2s, that kind of stuff. It was for the people who wanted to live in a retirement community but did not want to pay the association fees and everything of Sun City, Sun City West, Sun City Grand, that area. So that's how Youngtown got going. It's a great little neighborhood. Whenever I get somebody who's trying to downsize in a retirement, but they don't want to be in a Sun City area and pay those things, I always try to point out Youngtown to them. Other thing that Youngtown's got going for it is because it's in the middle of all the retirement communities, you have a lot of doctors and a lot of hospitals and a lot of specialists in that area. All right, and because of that, you have all the amenities, except you don't have the gym, you don't have this, and you don't have anything else. But Youngtown, look at that. Grandma and Grandpa bought into Youngtown. Okay, over the past years, they've gone at 22.1. That's an average of 11% appreciation a year. And then it works down here. Even Arizona City, I gotta look this place up. It's one of those little hole in the walls out in the middle of nowhere. But even Tonopah, Sun City West, Sun City, okay, and generally these are the areas that when those houses go on the market, it's because somebody died or moving back in with the kids, right? So they were the lowest growth rate. But I want you to see something really interesting in this. There is a really, really big price point on all of these things because that goes into our next chart. This is the 2-year mark. This chart right here is the 1-year mark, all right? And you can see, and this is broken down by price point. Right, over 10 million, still grew at 12% last year. Right, in fact, everything grew. Change in average price. All right, grew until you hit the $1.5 million mark. So remember, when you see this, and you're thinking Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, Fountain Hills, Cave Creek. Remember, a lot of those houses that we're talking about there are on the higher end of this chart. Right? And as you can see, as this goes down, if the lowest price point got impacted the worst, especially it's this 350 to 400 mark. All right, that 350 to 400 mark. Remember, one of the things going along with that, those are your starter homes. Remember, we were showing you the new builds, a couple months ago out there in Goodyear, that area. So you can see the impact on that, but things are still moving up. So that's what happened when those interest rates. So those interest rates spike. It hits the poor first. All right. And poor is relative in this. It hurts the first-time home buyers worse. All right. These guys over here, they're all cash. Right. They don't worry about interest rates as much as these guys down here because they're putting more down. So on the flip side, I didn't see before I hit record right now, but we are seeing that the consumer price index is coming out today. That will have an impact, but people are still forecasting the rates are going to continue to go down because they're expecting inflation to go down, and of course, we need to get the economy up and running. So we'll see how that plays out. But here's the rush. This is what we're talking about, guys. Little anecdotal evidence here. My broker got a listing in Arcadia. He did an open house. He said he was incredibly busy over the open house both days. He got 9 offers on that Arcadia house. And I think the bid that they actually accepted was $250,000 over the list price. Right, that was the accepted bid. All right, so the rush is here, but remember, your mileage may vary, right, if you don't use a ProStar agent. Right, he sat down with the sellers, told them what needed to be fixed, helped them stage the house, took really good photos. Really, really marketed. He didn't just throw a sign in the front yard like certain other brokerages do. Certain other brokerages that may have been mentioned in this news article. So, long story short, It's time. This is where we get going. If you guys are out there thinking that, hey, maybe at the end of last year going, I'm just never going to be able to buy a house, call a lender up. All right, figure out where you're at. Okay, these interest rates are coming down, and you can get. All right, I'm hearing fives. All right, I'm hearing fives with good credit and not a lot down. All right, some cases it's actually they're using points to buy in on these things. So let's take a look at how that goes out. All right, and I just wanted to wrap up. There's this other video I watched yesterday, and I'm not going to link to the guy because he's just one of those YouTube doom and gloomers and stuff like that. But he was talking about basically how if you are a Zoomer or a millennial and you're waiting for the big boomer die-off, okay, what was the line he uses that I'm going to shamelessly steal for the rest of my life? Permanently exiting the above-ground real estate market. All right, if you're in those younger tranches and you're waiting for your grandparents and parents to permanently exit the above ground real estate market and think you're going to get the house from that, all right, he had some convincing reasons why that might not actually happen. All right, the main one that I agree with is that your parents are probably not living in an area that you want to live in. All right, now I noticed he never said anything about, oh, and then you get the house and then you sell it and use the equity for that house to buy where you do want to live. He didn't mention that at all. But especially with reverse mortgages, and if you are getting close to retirement and you don't particularly like your kids, or your kids are doing fine, you don't feel the need to not spend your their inheritance, okay, and like I told my grandfather, everybody's doing well, we don't need your money, go blow it all on coke and hookers. All right, the reverse mortgages, especially if you realize that whatever pension you might have, whatever retirement funds you might not have Social Security enough coming in, making ends meet. Reverse mortgages, both for purchase or a refinance your existing house, coupled with downsizing, smart sizing, all right, into a new area, will help your retirement go a long, long way. All right. If you have any questions about that, give me a call. I'll introduce you to a lender who will explain it in much, much better detail than I will. So that pretty much wrapped it up. I thought this was going to go a lot longer, but either I talked quick or I didn't have that much to talk about. So I want you guys, it rained today. Okay, so we're not driving in anything flooded. Okay, and we're watching the kids and pets around water. All right, just because the pool's in the backyard, nobody's been swimming it in the last 3 weeks or 3 months does not mean it's not a potential death trap. Okay, continue to work your circles, especially this year more than any. All right, and you guys have a great weekend. See you out on the streets.